All right, guys, going to be jumping into the Monday Night Football Showdown picks here on DraftKings for the game between the Green Bay Packers and the Las Vegas Raiders. We go and look at the game preview courtesy of the ODDSJAM Sportsbook View. We are going to see the biggest injury news that we're probably waiting on is going to be Davante Adams. He's currently questionable. If he sits, we're just looking at Jacoby Myers a bunch. If he plays, I still think we're looking at a bunch of Jacoby Myers, and I'll touch on that. But a little bit of a, I don't want to say revenge game because he chose to go there. The Packers wanted to pay him. Just very interesting, playing against his former team and a team that might be without one of the best corners in the league with Alexander. And if you look at it, like if there's a team that knows how to stop Davante Adams or just hinder production, it would be the Packers. They played against him for years in practice. They probably know somewhat how to scheme against him, although Adams has polished his footwork so well that it is difficult to really scheme against him because he knows every which way to get open. The only worry with him would be getting re-injured in that game and not playing the full allotment of snaps. For the Green Bay Packers, we're going to see Aaron Jones, currently questionable with a hamstring injury. I don't think that that's going to be a big deal in this game. I think he's going to play his normal full allotment of snaps, which if you guys follow Aaron Jones snap counts, it's a roller coaster. It's like 45% to 65% is pretty much what we can expect. Now, maybe they get him a little bit more simply because, one, they need him to because of the game. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's a must win, but you should beat the Raiders. And I'll talk about the line here in a second. I feel like that's a weird line that we're getting. But also, A.J. Dillon has looked so bad. Patrick Taylor's not the answer. So they probably just need him, get him a lot more work. And yes, I mentioned the game, guys. Packers are favored to lose by 2. I find that one to be interesting. I'd probably be betting the Packers to win by 2, honestly. Win by a field. Because what? Well, we know that with the Green Bay Packers, last week was a short week. I felt like that was like the ultimate trap week we were getting for the Packers. A banged up young team on a short week. Matt LaFleur is really the reason why this team has looked as good as it has, really as good as it did in the second half as well. I was just worried about his game planning on a short week, and we saw it come to fruition. Now it's a long week. They practically had to buy plenty of time to prep for the game. You're getting all your players healthy. The young players are going to be over-prepared for this game as well now. Like, to me, this feels like a smash spot for the Packers. And so for me, I'm going to start out with the Green Bay Packers here, guys. Yes, Aaron Jones probably should be the highest player in terms of the captain's price because the outcome for him is a roller coaster, but like he could easily put up 30 in this game and no one would be shocked. At the same time, it is very risk reward. I don't like the fact that he is priced that high. Like, we might not need to do that. Looking at Jordan Love, I do feel like he's going to be a must play. I don't know, like the takes that I'm hearing on Jordan Love are just weird. Like, I feel like he should be getting praised heavily and people are just finding ways to knock him down, where like you look at, I kind of compared him to Trevor Lawrence a lot. Like Trevor Lawrence, for the most part, he's getting better. He's being more consistent. But if you look at like the previous years, he was such a roller coaster, like play by play, which some might say that's Jordan Love with some accuracy stuff. Now, some of that's by design. Like, he is missing players long by design. You've seen him and Luke Musgrave not be on the same page a lot. And like, I feel like people that are bashing him are just not actually watching the games. Like, I saw so much criticism of him in the first half of the Thursday Night Football game, and I was just like scratching my head. I'm like, anyone that is watching this would clearly be blaming the offensive line and not Jordan Love. Like, he is not making mistakes with the pressure that is there. It was just weird. It's like people have this preconceived bias on him and they're not willing to like go, even though 4 weeks in he has proven to be the guy. And so I'm going to continue to roll with it. I'm continue to benefit from that, from people not being on him at a high ownership. Looking at the receivers, Romeo Doubs here, he has been getting targeted heavily, okay, especially the last 2 games, 13 and 12 receptions. And guys, if you're someone that plays season-long league, try to go out and inquire some of the Green Bay Packers because this week they have a good matchup. They have a bye next week. And so people, a team might be needy, and then they have a really good like month of matchups. And so someone like Dobbs could really go off. Someone like Christian Watson could really go off. But really, I do expect these 2 guys to be the guys that we want to be targeting. And I do expect Christian Watson to kind of go off. If I'm playing someone in the captain spot for the Packers, I think it's going to be Christian Watson. He has a full week to be healthy. He's their number 1 receiver, being valued as the number 2 receiver. He was one of the best receivers in the league from week 10 on last year. And it's like, it's just like, because Matt LaFleur is good at like scheming, we're just seeing players like Christian Watson, like Jordan Love, really not get the love that they deserve because they're being utilized in the perfect way for their skill set. That's all right. We can benefit from that low ownership. Now, is this risky? Sure. Is he coming in off of a hamstring? Could he reactivate that? Sure. Aggravate it, not activate it. Sure. But he's a big play guy. He's his number 1 receiver. I'm fine with that. Dobbs, I still like, guys. Don't get me wrong. Like, we could easily just be plugging those 3 in. Looking at it, though, I do like the price tag of Luke Musgrave. The Raiders are just not a good defense. He was well on his way to having a good game last week before he got injured. Josiah DeGuara actually ended up doing pretty well. I think we can expect like Luke Musgrave to get us like 10 or so DraftKings points. From there, we could be looking at Carlson. And guys, come on. I buried the lead there. The brotherly kick-up matchup there, the Carlson bros. That's actually kind of fun. I didn't even think about that, honestly. And they're both going to be in play. They both have a boot. From there, who could we be looking at? Well, we look at Green Bay. We look at the snap counts from last week. We did see Musgrave play at only 26. I'm expecting him to get to 87. We know that Dobbs is going to play about 88%. Jaden Reed's going to get a few play designs, don't get me wrong, but with Aaron Jones back, he's going to be the first option in a lot of those plays that we're going to Jaden Reed, and so will Christian Watson. He's the faster guy. Those are going to be the first two options, and then Reed. We might still see Wicks be a little bit more involved than I would probably like as a Packers fan, but he probably will be. Like Christian Watson is going to play probably 70% of the snaps, 75% of the snaps. Then Reed will be probably around 65, and then Wicks probably 40 or so, I would imagine. And so at his current price tag, this does seem to be an appealing price tag. And if you are someone that's saying the Raiders are going to win, Packers are going to be playing from behind, then Wicks would be a really good play for you guys. So for now, I'm just going to put him in there because it does make a logical sense as a value play. Let's go and move on into the Las Vegas Raiders. So the Raiders finally got their run game going last week, and now they get a good matchup with the Green Bay Packers. My only concern with Josh Jacobs is that was a one-off situation, and he really didn't dominate either. It was more or less he was still involved in the passing game. And I think partially that was due to Davante Adams being banged up in that game. And if you look at his two highest catch total games, one was a game in which Jacoby Myers was out. The other was a game in which Davante Adams was banged up. And I do think that there's a correlation there. Like when one of those two are out, they have to force the ball to Josh Jacobs. Those two are both going to be expected to play. And so I expect Jacoby Myers and Davante Adams to be the two players we want the most in the passing game. Now, the question is whether or not Josh Jacobs is going to be an effective runner against this Green Bay Packers defense that has struggled against the run. I wonder, Matt LaFleur really made an emphasis to say, dear whatever, it is mind-numbing that we haven't been able to figure out the run in the whatever years he's been the head coach for the Green Bay Packers. And every Green Bay Packers fan's like, dude, this has been going on for like 20 years. What do you mean? But I do expect them to put an emphasis on stopping the run. And they're going to try to blitz Jimmy G because once you blitz Jimmy G, they get his feet not set, and he's going to start making mistakes. So I do expect them to just be rushing 5 players all the time and trying to stop the run like every team has been able to do thus far. I think they're going to put an extra emphasis on that. So to me, I'm actually leaning more towards fading Josh Jacobs just because I worry that we're going to get closer to one of these games. Now, don't get me wrong. This is very much a ownership fade because I do expect him to be chalky. And so for me, I'm just going to be going with someone like Jacoby Myers instead, who last week did not have a big game. Prior to that, guys, 12 and 10 targets. And last week, there was such a terrible call. Jacoby Myers made a pretty awesome catch. It was a terrible ball by Aiden O'Connell. He went up, caught it. I think they ruled it a catch and then changed it. And it was just a head scratcher. It was a catch. It looked like a catch, and it was just weird. So you get him another reception, and like I think it was like a 40-yard play. It's just a much better day on paper. Now you get Jimmy G back. You do expect Jacoby Myers to have a much better game, and to me, he's going to be one of the better values on the slate. And like to me, I think we're either looking at Myers or Watson at the value spot because to me, it wouldn't be shocking to see either one of those two end up being the highest scores on the slate. Now look at this, guys. We have so much salary left over. Like we could easily fit Davante Adams in there. Like, do we even have to play Wicks? Maybe not. But that's kind of the nice part about this slate is that we can really fit in whoever we choose to do so because we are getting such soft pricing. That's the appeal of Christian Watson as well. Do we feel good about fading Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs? No. Are we going to make some pivots to them? Yeah, like that's going to happen. But as always, I'm trying to give you guys the best first look build, the best starting points for your night, and then you can make the educated pivots from there. I did mention we are probably looking at the kickers as well. Raiders D, I don't know. I think they're going to be able to get home, get some sacks, but also it's a long week. Like I expect that to get cleaned up. That was honestly my biggest worry last week is that short week, you don't have time to prepare for alignments and stuff like that. And then for the Raiders, to me, I'm not seeing like too much value here. Like Amir Abdullah probably going to get a catch or two out of the backfield. He's looked good doing that. Personally, I think he's a little bit better than Josh Jacobs catching the ball and running with it. Austin Hooper is at a cheap price tag as well. So is Michael Mayer. Like they're both pretty cheap, but I'm not expecting much from those two. And so yeah, for me, it's kind of looking like this, guys. Maybe we can go from Wicks. We got 2.1 left over. Is there anyone we want to roll with instead? I mean, not really at all. Just curious if we go from Jacoby Myers or from Christian Watson to Jacoby Myers in the captain spot. What does that leave us with? Hunter Renfrow, I don't love that either. Like, yeah, I'm probably just leaving salary left over on the board this week. We'll see. That's going to be all for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. If you did, make sure to give a like and subscribe. If you guys want access to the NFL DFS lineup optimizer for the Showdown slate, it is available on 95sports.com for just $10 a month. Thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.